Creating custom Pokemon for you! Welcome back, everyone, to the show where we select lucky commenters to spin a series of random wheels that give us factors for a Pokemon that we then create just for you. It's gonna be an awesome episode today, y'all. We're gonna make 3 amazing custom Pokemon as always, so if you end up liking today's video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And of course, if you want a custom Pokemon for yourself, all you have to do is leave a comment under this video because I'll be randomly selecting people from this video's comments for the next episode. But without further ado, let's get into the first Pokemon. And this one will be for Vagabond, who, like many other people in the last episode, wanted me to add a Paradox Pokemon section to the power level wheel. So I went ahead and added it, and I think it's gonna be a super good addition. But anyway, Vagabond, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be a Convergent Evolution. Cool. And it means that now we have to spin this wheel to see what generation of Pokemon will be making a Convergent for, and it's Gen 3. A lot of people say that's the best generation of all time, and it's hard to disagree. So now, of course, we'll spin this wheel that has every single Gen 3 Pokemon on it, and we got Zangoose. That's pretty interesting. Definitely one of the more unique Pokemon from Gen 3, so that's cool. Now, let's see what new typing we'll be giving to this Convergent Zangoose. Your first type is the Dark type. That's cool. Zangoose could kind of already be a Dark type, so that makes sense. And Dark Poison. That's definitely very interesting typing. A Poison type Zangoose is going to be weird. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and none this time. This mythological beast is the explanation behind an ancient rivalry. Your Pokemon is Zang Viper, the hero's ending Pokemon. This ancient creature used to be the bane of young adventurers, known to ruthlessly attack them, bringing their journeys to premature ending. But legend says that one day a brave hero confronted Zang Viper and engaged it in a deadly battle, culminating in the hero using a mighty swing of his sword to cut Zang Viper in two. And while this looked to be the end of this terrible beast, the two halves of Zang Viper would actually live on. However, the two halves now hated each other as each of them blamed the other for their defeat. So according to the legend, this is the reason that modern day Zangoose and Seviper hate each other, as they descend from two creatures that couldn't accept their collective defeat. In terms of stats, Zang Viper is actually insane. It's got a base stat total of 550, which makes it only 50 base stat total points away from being on par with pseudo-legendaries like Garchomp and Dragonite, so this thing is definitely extremely powerful. And for the shiny, I went with this white color for the skin while changing the fangs and talons to this cool purple and blue color, and I think this turned out really good. It's definitely one of the most unique shinies of the entire series, so I bet a lot of you are gonna love it. But now let's get into the second Pokemon, and this one will be for Gamernaut, who's hoping that their Pokemon is a legendary or a starter. I always love when we get those too, so I'm rooting for you. So alright, Gamer, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular, which isn't a legendary or a starter, but you know, nothing wrong with that. Now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you are going to get 2, which makes you a full 3-stage evolution line. Now let's see what typing your Pokemon's going to be. Your first type is going to be the Steel type. That is a good, strong, competitive type. And Steel Fairy type is actually insane because that is the strongest typing in Pokemon history. It is an absolutely overpowered combo, so this Pokemon's gonna be strong. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and you do, a corrupted form. That is absolutely sick. Next up, we have a Pokemon that's super creepy, but you can't help but feel bad for it. The first stage of your Pokemon is Brambit, the Fragile Soul Pokemon. Looking at the center of these Pokemon, you can see a bright pink energy, which is the soul of the Pokemon, a source of energy that its entire body runs on. And while these Pokemon's steel frame bodies are very durable, the power source is very vulnerable, as if it's hit by even the lightest of attacks, it will cause the entire Pokemon to shut down permanently. At level 19, it would evolve into Feylat. These Pokemon now have much larger souls, which they hold in their cage-like body. And in battle, they're very threatening as their large power source allows them to unleash devastatingly powerful attacks. However, while its power source is now much more well protected, a carefully placed strike between its bars is still fully capable of shutting this Pokemon down. At level 41, it would evolve into Glimmergate, a massive steel maiden that's obsessed with keeping its power source force protected, as it's terrified of losing its life. It prefers to live in absolute isolation away from any and everything that can cause it harm. But if it does come across an enemy Pokemon or trainer, it will instantly attack them with its full power, seeking to immediately take out the potential threat. So if you ever see this Pokemon in the wild, do not let it notice you, or that will be the last thing you ever do. And it's this Pokemon's manic need to protect itself that was preyed upon by the evil Cosmic Legendary, who corrupted Glimmergate, infusing it with the Cosmic type and overloading its soul. As now filled with pure cosmic energy, it's too powerful to be contained by its metal frame and has ripped its way out, as it now drags its former steel husk across the land, looking to take revenge against the world that it once feared. In terms of stats, corrupted Glimmergate has an absolutely insane spread with a base stat total of 700. However, its physical defense is shockingly low. And for regular Glimmergate, its stats have a very similar distribution, but the numbers are way lower. And for the shiny, I went with this dark gray color for the metal to make it look a bit scarier. Not that the Pokemon needed it, this thing is terrifying already. But now let's get into the third Pokemon. But before we get into that, I have a huge announcement. I'm introducing a brand new segment to our show called the Member Modifier. Have you ever seen a Pokemon that was made in the series and thought, that thing's really cool, but it could be even cooler? Well, that's where the Member Modifier will come in, because from now on, every week, my channel members will be voting on a custom Pokemon to upgrade, which could include giving it a new ability, a new evolution, a corrupted form. Heck, we could even make it part of a brand new split evolution. But for this week's segment, I asked my channel members to vote on a custom Pokemon to give a brand new Mega Evolution. The options were Torchos, our Fire Steel type convergent Tauros, Slowsor, our ultra aggressive fossil Pokemon, and Magmolt, the lava larva monster. And the winner was Slowsor! This sunken ship inspired Pokemon is so incredibly aggressive that it even has a brand new mechanic where it is physically incapable of using moves that don't purely deal damage. But it's time to take this Pokemon's raw power even further, because when exposed to Slawite, it would evolve into Mega Slowsor! This hulking ocean titan actually serves as an explanation for Slowsor's aggression, as due to its massive size, this Pokemon had to be in a constant state of hunting or else it would starve. And this is actually how Slowsor would meet its demise, because it hunted away every nearby species until there were no food sources for it left, proving that the only thing that can take out a Slowsor is itself. Huge thank you to all my channel members. I hope you enjoyed Mega Slowsor, and if you want to become a member yourself and help us vote on the next member modifier, then you can look into that by hitting the join button down below. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this segment, but now let's get right back into the third Pokemon. And this one will be for Ghost Knight, who says that they're going to watch every single episode. That's awesome. So alright, Ghost, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be a legendary for the last design of the day. That is sick. So now, of course, we'll spin this wheel to see what type of legendary you are, and you are going to be part of a legendary trio. That's cool. That means we'll have to connect this legendary to some previous ones from the series, which always makes it pretty difficult. So now let's see what typing we'll be giving to this trio legendary. Your first type is going to be None, which means whatever the next type is, it's your only type, and it's the fighting type. That's really cool. I think we've had some fighting type legendaries before, so maybe that's what we'll connect it to. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see what its X factor is going to be, and it is an additional form. Hi. This Pokemon refuses to be forgotten. Your Pokemon is Finroar, the unseen rock Pokemon. The legendaries of Pandor and Condor are known throughout the land as a heroic duo that use their elite combat skills to protect people and Pokemon alike from great evil. But did you know that this duo was once a trio? That's right, Finroar was once a proud member of the Stone Hats and was integral to their early success. As while Pandor excelled in its defensive fighting style and Condor excelled in its long-range attacks, it was Finroar who served as a stealthy distraction, using its ability to shroud itself in darkness to sneak up to enemies, putting itself in harm's way as a means to get their attention, while Pandor and Condor dealt a final blow. However, Finroar was a little too good at being stealthy, with witnesses to the trio's heroics only really seeing Pandor and Condor, and this led to a rift slowly forming between Finroar and his brothers, as he was forced to sit on the sidelines and watch as the people celebrated celebrated the Stone Hat duo with festivals and offerings, but never acknowledging him. This culminating in one day when the trio found themselves facing off against a truly powerful enemy who for the first time was too strong for them to handle. But Finroar was too proud to retreat, using his powers to sneak right up to the enemy and attacking with a perfectly placed blow. And his plan worked. The beast was now fully focused on Finroar, and with its attention drawn, it was time for his brothers to deal a deadly strike. But the strike never came, as Pandor and Condor had retreated, leaving him behind. And as the beast prepared a massive attack, Finroar found himself completely alone, abandoned, and betrayed. This enraged Finroar as it filled with a newfound power, transforming itself into its betrayed form, now easily defeating the monster his brothers so weakly ran away from. And with this victory, Finroar pledged to have his revenge. He would no longer allow his brothers to have the glory of his victory. He would be known throughout the land, and if he had to destroy his former family to do so, then so be it. In terms of stats, the betrayed form of Finroar is incredibly fast and has absolutely ridiculous physical attack. And in its base form, it's actually fairly defensive, although it still has super good speed. And for the shiny, I went with white fur and purple accents to sort of look like the moon because this Pokemon has a werewolf theme. But that's gonna do it for today's episode, y'all. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe before you go. Sorry this episode took a bit longer to come out. I went on a vacation, but I'm back now, so expect weekly uploads to return. Also, hopefully you noticed a bit of a quality increase in this episode. I got a new camera, and I've been working a bit harder on the animation, so hopefully you noticed that. Let me know in the comments if you did, and if you want to watch more episodes of the Custom Pokemon series, there's a bunch in this playlist. I'm gonna get right back to making some awesome custom Pokemon for you, so I'll see you in the next episode, but until then,